Hello everyone, welcome back to Star Wars Discussions. I'm Captain Logan, and joining me is Dan Torrey.
Hey everybody.
And beware the Steve Baxi.
Hey guys.
Today we're talking about Idiot's Array, the first episode of this series, bringing in Lando. We have been really looking forward to this because it was announced very early on that Billy D. Williams was coming into the show to play Lando, and now we got an episode to talk about, and that's really exciting. So let's go ahead and just jump straight into it, shall we? Dan, why don't you give us your thoughts first, sir?
The general criticism we've had of this show kind of still stands in that there's not really a whole lot of character development for any of these people. I kind of wish that we would move forward and learn a little bit more about the main characters in the show. But that being said, I really liked Lando's appearance in here. I thought Billy D. Williams played the role really well. His voice acting was surprisingly similar to the way Lando sounded and acted in Empire: Return of the Jedi, and I really liked that about it. As far as episodes for the series go, post the pilot, where we're not really moving the story along long form too much, I think this is one of my favorite ones, just because we got one of the characters from the original trilogy to come in and do some really cool stuff and be involved intricately with the plot. I mean, we got Yoda earlier, but he was sort of a disembodied voice, and we didn't really do much. We were sort of confused as to how he was even involved in the episode in the first place.
Although we'll talk about that a little bit later, because I've got some stuff about that.
Okay, cool. So I thought, it was cool to see Lando in here. I'm not sure that the crew of the Ghost should have trusted him as easily as they did and went along with his plan as easily as they did. But, I mean, I don't know. I just thought Lando was really charismatic and fun, and that was enough, I guess, to make me enjoy this episode a little bit more than some of the previous ones. Not that this is bad or anything. But I just wish we would move a little bit further with the ongoing plot of the story and learn a little bit more about Ezra's parents and things like that, for example. But overall, I thought it was fine, given the recent precedent of the show.
Before we move on, let me go ahead and read a comment from one of our viewers from about the previous episode, since you brought that up, Dan. Jacob Snyder says, "I was watching your discussion for Rebels, and it kind of honed in on the points you guys were making on why Ezra was hearing Yoda when Kanan was. This is sort of explained in the Jedi Apprentice book series in the Knights of the Old Republic game. They called it a force bond, a situation where two force sensitives can connect together and experience similar things, and most notable I can think of being in the Knights of the Old Republic. In the game, the two main characters let me skip some of this.
Knights of the Old Republic is one of my favorite games too, by the way. I love that game.
Yeah.
Good on you for
yeah, and that's basically what's important. This is a long comment. That's basically what's important about the comment. Okay, that's interesting background. They could have just told us that in the episode if that's what it was, but...
And I'm not sure how Ezra would have a force bond with Yoda that would go through Kanan in any sort of way. I don't know that force bonds can be connected secondhand.
Yeah, what he says is, it made me think maybe Ezra and Kanan formed a force bond, and maybe Ezra was connected to Kanan when Yoda starts talking to him, but your point stands. Why?
Yeah, I just don't think there's enough there for us to draw any sort of definitive conclusion. I mean, maybe that's an explanation, possibly. But I don't know how Yoda, if he had a force bond with Kanan, would talk through that force bond that Kanan also has with Ezra and talk directly to him. You would think if Kanan and Yoda had a force bond that Ezra would be able to hear the things Yoda said if they had a force bond together, but Yoda wouldn't be able to talk through a second-hand force. I don't know.
And not just carry two conversations on at the exact same time with two people like that. That just seems a little strange.
Yeah, but it seems like something Yoda totally has the concentration to be able to do. I buy that. That he could split his attention like that and talk to two people simultaneously. Yoda would be like the best person at data entry ever. But
I want to see a sitcom where Yoda works at a filing information agency.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, but he does like 6 jobs at the same time. Like he's the janitor and he answers the phone, like all at the same time. Well, I don't want to spend too much time on last week's episode. Why don't we go ahead and jump over to Steve? Steve, what did you think of this one, man? And did you have a best moment, worst moment?
I wasn't crazy about this one. I thought it was okay. Part of what got me through this is exactly what Dan said, is Lando and Billy D. Williams. I love Lando. Lando is great. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. One of my issues, though, is there's a couple of points where you can tell that the voice acting and the animation aren't syncing up just right. And I don't mean like in the lips. I mean like the gestures and the postures he's making and what he's saying and what's going on just doesn't gel. And it feels almost like they built the animation and storyboards around lines they already prepared for Lando or things that Billy D. Williams said first. It feels really strange.
Maybe that's what happened.
I don't know if anyone else had that.
I didn't think of that, but that's really interesting. I mean, that could tell you how they did it. You know, like maybe they wrote this, and you know, that, I mean, this is speculative, but what if they wrote this episode really early on, knowing they wanted him, and he had like a really limited time that he could come in and record or something, and that's why so little of importance happens in this episode, because they could like set it in anywhere in the sequence.
Yeah, that's a good point. It certainly felt a little bit like that. My best moment is the Lando thing, though. I think his introduction at the very beginning when they're playing that card game, I think that's great. It feels really classic Lando. It feels almost Han Solo-like a little bit, and I thought that was great. I really want Harrison Ford or Han Solo somewhere in this series now. I think they pulled off Lando well enough. I think they can get Han right really well. I wasn't crazy about this. Like you guys said, not a lot happened. Not a lot of story progression. No character progression at all. Easily my worst moment is some of the goofy stuff that happens, like Ezra gets jealous that Lando's talking to that girl,
Sabine, yeah.
That was really weird.
Yeah.
All of that tension between the three of them was really strange.
And then they played
Lando
off
was
like
much older than both of them.
And then he's and of course, and then he's voiced by a man that's a lot older.
Yeah, that stuff's just weird, and then that turns into a giant unnecessary battle in space because Ezra accidentally makes the big pop, and it kicks the guy over to the desk, and it's just a weird series of events that lead to a fight scene. I wasn't crazy about that.
Yeah, it's not a great script. The Lando stuff is super fun. well, it's just not. They keep doing like a little bit to make me get really intrigued about a character, and they never go far enough, and I'm kind of sick of waiting. You know, and yeah. Dan and I have ad nauseum compared this to the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is easily a lot worse than that now. I mean, I think in taking its time on that stuff. For instance, I really enjoyed the comparison and contrast, the parallels between Lando and Hera, and the kind of differences in how they each hold back information, but for what reasons. And it made her seem a whole lot more benevolent and noble than she had before, where it's like, you know, she doesn't have that smuggler sensibility. For her, it's more of like the S.H.I.E.L.D. compartmentalization that we keep talking about, where she keeps information in order to protect her own, whereas he keeps information so that he can manipulate people. And so, you know, it's about kind of the line between those two things. But as always, they just never go far enough with it. I mean, I kind of wanted more of a confrontation between those two, and thought that would be a lot of fun. My best moment, weirdly, well, I mean, I'm with Steve. Probably the best moment is the opening with Lando. I like how reverential we are toward this character, and honestly, I was kind of impressed with doing kind of the typical silhouette thing that I didn't immediately guess who it was. I wasn't even thinking about Lando, and when they go behind him and you start to hear his voice, I figured out who it was. But it was kind of fun that they try to make it a secret, and I actually enjoyed that it was a secret. But the bit with Hera in the tray, I thought was actually kind of funny. I kind of dug that. My worst moment was, and this goes along with stuff that Steve was talking about, Zeb, unmasks the ship on accident because he's screwing around with that stupid puffer pig thing, and it's so cartoony. I think that there's some stuff that's not gelling with this show. We are having him sell Hera into slavery. and doing something like that adult and that has those kinds of like kind of scary implications, just like with like blowing up people in their houses in the first episode, right? And then we do that goofy cartoon thing of he trips over a pig and hits a button and uncloaks, unmasks the ship or whatever. I don't think these things are meshing very well. I don't know if you can do both of those things. Or at least as often as they do it. I think I don't know. I don't think that's working. There are too many plot points that happen because of convenient, incompetent gags.
Yeah, I'm with you. One of my favorite moments, I would agree with you guys, was the intro to Lando. Steve, I really liked the comparison you drew between him and Han Solo, and it kind of being sort of Han Solo-esque when they revealed him. And I like that a lot. I picked up on that too. And it's awesome because Lando was sort of the character that Han Solo always could have been if he had went down a different path, because they're very similar kind of people. And I like that it was, he was introduced in the show in such a way where it reminded you of Han Solo. You get the feeling that Han Solo wouldn't be as willing to sell someone into slavery for his own gain, even if it didn't work out, Especially the kind of slavery that it's implied that she goes into, which is really kind of creepy with that guy.
Did you guys notice that I didn't check the voice actor, so I would freak out if it turned out it was the same person, but the slave dealer guy sounded just like Edna Mode from The Incredibles?
Oh, I didn't get that.
I don't know. I didn't look at the voice actor either.
It sounded exactly like her. That just creeped me the heck out. Now, that did strike me as a very Star Wars, like, creepy alien character. Like, I could totally see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was also fun that we didn't go to La Fall again.
And the most disappointing thing about this episode, I'm going to say worst moment, is that there was no stormtroopers in this episode.
For the last two episodes, Dan, we haven't been able to do that. So Stormtrooper, and it's really sad. I mean, Holy Ghost on a bicycle. Why haven't we gotten to do that? That's not right. Johnny Torch says I think he says snarkily, I was pretty disappointed they didn't go the whole 9 yards and put Hera in the slave costume. Could you imagine that if they went that far and they went that risque, and then we still had Zeb trips over a puffy pig and hits the console?
I mean, you knew exactly where they were going for that, because in the Star Wars universe, Twi'lek's the race that she is. These Twi'lek females are traditionally sold into the kind of slavery they imply she's sold into in this episode. Like, that's a big thing with their race of people.
Oh, okay.
So if you know that kind of background, you kind of get what they're trying to get at, but they don't really say. There's a few lines that strongly hint at it, but I don't know that kids would pick up on it based on them not explicitly saying what they're talking about.
I feel like that's the kind of information that maybe we should have gotten in the episode, or something that we could have done with her character. It just, I don't know. It's a really interesting thing to do. It's a kids show, and they don't necessarily have to make it explicit, but they can at least do character growth with it, or mention it towards the end, or get something with they don't like Lando because of the way he kind of perpetuated her racist situation. I don't know. I thought I like a lot of Star Wars expanded universe for doing stuff like that, and then in this series they make reference to it, but they don't ultimately go far enough.
Now, I will say that.
Right.
Well, you have that typical, we don't like this guy because he's, like, a major Star Wars character we've heard of before, and isn't it fun for, like, everybody to not like him or whatever. You do have... I mean, he is a smuggler, and he is clearly slimy. So, I mean, there's reasons not to like him.
He's really slimy.
I'm really glad that this was not
That's
Ezra.
kind of who Lando is.
Yeah, I'm really glad that Ezra wasn't featured very much in this episode, because he would have been obnoxious. Because the only thing that we got for him to do was, like be jealous of Lando with Sabine, and I'm like, I just don't care. Those two characters are never going to have any chemistry, I don't think. Like I just, if they put those two together, and they make me buy it, I will be really, really super surprised. Like that strikes me as a boyhood crush. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like move on. Yes, she's attractive, and pink helmets are awesome, but whatever. You know, now another thing I wanted to mention is that I think they put Sabine slightly in the Princess Leia role as far as Lando's concerned, because you got to have that one girl that's taken with him, right? So that you show how charming he is, and that actually works on people. Because everybody else is apprehensive to hating, somewhere between apprehensive and hating the guy. You got to have the one girl who's like kind of charmed by him.
And you would think that he would hate her considering how slimy he is and what he does to Hera. Like, it feels like that's counter to her character to even remotely like him, given what we've seen with her earlier on.
See, I thought the same thing. Yeah, that like, and the thing is, she is really like savvy and cultured and gets this galaxy and how stuff works, right? I mean, like she clearly has all these different contacts in all these different places, and knows a lot of different kinds of people, and does whatever she has to, and works with people that she probably doesn't even really trust and stuff. So yeah, she should pick up on that.
With Leia, I think it's a little bit different, because I feel like Leia in Empire just kind of responds to Lando's flirting to anger Han, to get on his nerves, which is always really funny. So I think Sabine is genuinely kind of taken with him. And she doesn't have any interest romantically with Ezra, and that's kind of the thing they're setting up so far.
See, I always got the sense that Leia was kind of charmed by him, not all the way to the point where like she would actually like date him or whatever. But maybe you're right. Maybe it's just in contrast to Han Solo, you know, where she's like, I mean, clearly, where she's like, yeah, clearly this guy is pretty slimy, but like compared to Han Solo, he's at least got some class, you know.
I don't know. I always thought that she was kind of like. Especially when he walks into the room when they're talking about C-3PO getting destroyed, and he's like, oh, you having trouble with your droid? And she responds to his charm. And she always looks at Han whenever she's about to respond to him in some positive way, as in like, oh, look at me, I'm being doubted upon by this guy, maybe you should treat me a little bit better, things like that.
That's a good point.
She still really likes Han, but she's only responding to Lando just because she wants to show Han, this is the way you treat me, that sort of thing.
Well, as always, I'm probably reading far too much into that. When I was a kid, I thought she just liked guys in capes. I thought he's got a cape.
Well, guys in capes are pretty
guys,
awesome.
I know. Yeah, if I were a girl, I would date a guy in a cape.
But anyway, we're probably believers.
Yeah, but yeah, Dan. Of course we are, because it's hilarious. Well, anyway, Suda says the alien scumbag in this episode is played by James Hong, who played Lo Pan in Big Trouble in Little China. Can you believe some of the people they're getting for the show? I mean, like, it's and what's really sad is, at least right now, I don't feel like the quality of the writing is up to spec with a lot of the rest of the production value.
Yeah, agreed. I think when they got Frank Oz, even if the situation didn't make a lot of sense, at least the lines Yoda got were really good.
They were really good. Well, except for the one we hated.
They didn't have a lot to work with.
Yeah, that's true. And what really sucks is this is a totally throwaway episode, right? Like, skip this and you didn't miss anything. But I mean, except for Orlando is fun. But I just mean story-wise for the progression of the series.
Yeah.
Curious Low says, as a girl, I can confirm guys in capes are awesome. I'm not gonna be on camera anymore without a cape, Curious Low. That's my plan from now on. I'm just gonna wear a cape all the time. I should ask my wife. I should ask my wife if she.
The Flash doesn't wear one.
Yeah, the Flash doesn't have. You have a Flash cape? That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anything else you guys want to bring up that we haven't talked about yet?
I don't think so.
No, I think we're good.
All right. Anybody have any trivia questions?
Yes, I've got one about Lando. This is weird. This episode actually brings up a lot of plot points that Lando does in the expanded universe stuff. Like, everything from the mining to his plan with Hera and stuff is all just things Lando's done in the books before, and it's weird that they're retreading all that. But anyway, in my question, following Return of the Jedi, Lando does more work with mining, and he builds a city that's eventually destroyed by General Thrawn. What's the name of the city?
Dan, do you have a question?
Yeah. Mine was related to since Sabine was somewhat prominently featured in this episode, as far as characters in the show can be featured.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, in Mandalorian culture, I don't know if this is still in canon because we've apparently erased most of the EU out of existence, but in past things that have been published, the Mandalorians have a name for the leader of their culture. What is the name of the leader of Mandalorians?
My question is from the episode, as always. Who is the artist who influenced Sabine's paintings, pointed out by Lando when he's trying to impress her? That's my question.
Cool.
That guy had a name. So anyway, anything else you guys want to bring up before we give the answers to our trivia questions? Do you guys have any quotes?
I don't Hera.
So.
It's full of funny.
This one was more quotable than normal. I cracked up when Lando said entrepreneur. This means business person. that was pretty good. And I mentioned the tray thing. I just thought it was really funny when like Hera does all that stuff with that tray, and then she goes, "That was a really useful tray." That was a good moment. And then my wife and I lost it because we didn't know why this line was in there. When Hera goes, "It's your face's fault." I was like, wow. I mean, like, I get what he's talking about, but that is so 2015. Yeah, your face. Anyway, that kind of got me. Well, Curious Low says that Mr. Corellian is not helping her and doesn't know any of the answers, which I just think is really funny, because Corellian is a big Star Wars guy, yeah. Thus the name, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and go back to Steve, and Steve, what's the answer to your trivia questions here?
Okay, the answer to my question is Nomad City. Which is weird, because you would think if you're a nomad, then you wouldn't have a city.
Yeah!
But, you know,
it would have to be roving, or like the island in Lost. I could see that being called Nomad something. Or like it's floating. Wow. Now I want to make a thing called Nomad City and steal that and then like do something really cool with it. That's neat. Dan?
The answer to my question is Mandalore. That's the title of the people that lead the Mandalorians, the one single leader. And I think the first person I saw was Suda. Oh, good job, Suda. Wow, what? Dan, that's a lot like... Okay, it's not the same thing, but the first thing that came to me was, that's almost like, what color is George Washington's white horse? The answer to my question is... If I can find it, it moved. Sorry, guys. Give me a second here. Where did it go? Jan-year of Bith. Yeah, I'm sure everybody wrote that down. Jan-year of birth. Bith. As soon as I wrote that, I was like, I'm going to say birth. I just know I'm going to say birth. Anyway, well, everybody, thanks always for watching Star Wars Discussion. Sure hope you enjoyed it. People in the comments keep saying, I sure hope Lando comes back. I think they made a big, huge, giant deal at the end of, yes, everybody, he's coming back! You know, like, he owes me one, and we shall meet again. Given Steve's complaints about how it looked like this episode was put together, there's a part of me that would almost not be surprised if I heard that they wrote two scripts together and he's already recorded his lines for it. And that the next time we see him, it also could be put in any part of the sequence.
I hope it's not that bad, but I hope he comes back, too.
But yeah, I mean, he was great, and I was really excited to see him. Well, anyway, everybody, thanks again for watching. We sure hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you again next week. If there's anything you want to ask us about the, or want us to bring up about the next episode after you see it, if you're not watching this live, and you weren't able to talk to us in the chat, be sure to go to Geekvolution.com, go to the contact page, and send us a message there. In the meantime, we'll see you again next week. I am Captain Logan, and this was Dan Torrey.
Thanks for watching, guys.
And beware the Steve Baxi.
Bye, guys. I hope you enjoy the show.
Thanks, folks.